It's been quite an offseason for the Shenyang Black Rhinos. After relocating from Dalian, where the team didn't win a game last season, they selected Robert Gordon to be their new head coach. Now, he was on hand at the player tryouts in Beijing and Shanghai, and the former Canadian Football League and Arena star wide receiver told us what would catch his eye.
I'm looking for an athlete first, a guy that can, his body, how he uses his body, his footwork, his feet, balance, and toughness. Football's a tough game, so that's one thing we need to create is some toughness.
The team released 14 players who became veteran free agents in the offseason, including 2 quarterbacks, 5 players who played at wide receiver, and 3 offensive linemen. David Aku was the last player added to the Dalian roster. He did not get the touches he needed at running back. That's because the offensive line struggled, and the quarterbacks would pull it down and take off. He finished with 15 carries, 82 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Mo Woodard did have 19 receptions for 181 yards and a score, and he showed his skill as a kick returner. He got plenty of work in that role, as Dalian gave up the most points in the league last season. Quarterback Philip Garcia was more of a runner than a passer. He was not afraid to put his head down. He was 5th in the league in rushing, 20 carries for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he only had 4 touchdown passes to go along with 4 interceptions. And teammate Jawad Yateen finished 4th in rushing, 23 carries, 125 yards and 3 scores. He was more of a passer, 8 touchdowns, good enough for 682 yards. Kent Richardson did it all for Dalian. The All-Pro North selection had 2 interceptions as a defensive back and then moved over to play on the offensive side of the ball in addition to returning kicks. As we said, 2 interceptions on the season for Richardson. Offensively, he ended up with 13 catches for 211 yards and 3 scores. Amir Ismail was one defender that Dalian could count on. The linebacker was an All-Pro North selection and made play after play for the Dragon Kings. But he announced his retirement at the end of the season and went into coaching. His knack for making big plays was the bright spot on the Dragon defense. And Darnell Burks was one of the biggest hitters in the league, but he suffered a hand injury and was unable to play down the stretch for Dalian. He finished with 1 interception. His loss to injury was a big blow, and the Dragon Kings never really did recover. So when it came time for the draft, Gordon knew that he needed a quarterback, and with the first overall pick, he selected Chris Decker. Decker had the most rushing attempts for Beijing last season with 19 carries for 59 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also caught 12 passes for 123 yards and 4 scores, while completing 5 of 7 passes for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns without an interception. Wide receiver Jan Bang Liang was the 2nd round and 7th overall choice for Coach Gordon, who saw Liang at the Shanghai Combine, and he was impressed with his speed. Offensive and defensive lineman Chad Columber was the 3rd round pick, 13th overall. He is 6'7", 350, and he has experience in the IFL. Offensive and defensive lineman Kyle Marley was the 4th round selection, 19th overall. He was one of the standouts at the CAFL Combine in Austin, Texas. In the 5th round, 25th pick overall, was Mentong Su, an offensive and defensive lineman. Su has good size and footwork coming out of the Shanghai Combine. And the story of the draft may have been Yu Fan Zhang, who was taken in the 6th round, 31st overall. The wide receiver was released at the end of the season, but Coach Gordon kept an eye on the former 12th round pick as he continued his workouts, and he decided to give him another shot, making him the first player in league history to be drafted twice by the same franchise. Now, the team still needs to make some moves to fill out its roster, and when they do, we'll keep you up to date.